Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to go over the Izanami, and her review is that she's actually a very mid hero because her skills necessarily aren't all that bad, but because of her synergy she's really hard to fit into any ethereal or any phantom team. Whether it's Phantom Dooms, Phantom Mystifers or even Phantom Avengers, it's really hard to use her because you really want a scaling hero on the side, and because she doesn't have any kind of attack or any kind of HP scaling in her kit apart from her runes, she's not all that great, and the HP increase in her kit or rather her runes is not all that amazing because it's not scaling, it's just some percentage increase on already existing HP. So what's her conclusion, and is she worth summoning for? Well, the answer is no, because you have Elisha, and Elisha pretty much does what she does, even slightly better, because Elisha does actually have a better scaling, which is HP and attack to the entire team, whereas Izanami scaling is damage boost and critical damage boost, which should in theory be better, but for some reason it's actually not. So I have tried this mainly in the Palace of Penrose battles. It's really hard to tell if her Oath Force is actually even working, but if we compare Elisha against the Izanami, the battles will end like twice faster with Elisha than if you're using Izanami, for example. So this battle will end in the round 4, whereas with Elisha it would end in round 3, for example. So we're going to go ahead and skip this one with Elisha. And since the previous one was a slightly different monster, so it won't be actually a same battle, but we are going to test on the same battle as well by just simply losing the last battle. So this one is actually also 4 rounds. So that's just telling you pretty much, if you have Elisha, you are not entirely forced to actually use the summons on the newest hero, so you can just simply use Elisha instead of Izanami. So pretty much she's also very hard to fit into the PvP teams. As I said, she doesn't work with Elisha, so this was round 3 clear with Elisha, and we're going to go ahead and skip this with the Izanami now. But yeah, as I was saying, she's really hard to fit into the PvP battles because she can't be paired with Elisha. The reason why is I will explain shortly, but let's see the damage comparison, and as you can see it's one round longer. So it's been the consistent result for the majority of the battles I have tried with her. Elisha was just giving better results overall than Izanami was, even though Izanami is 10 stars, which should in theory be better than Elisha. It's actually not. So unfortunately, it's really hard or near impossible for me personally to test whether her crit damage scaling works. I know her Oath Force shields work in the PvP, but this part right here with damage boost and crit damage boost, majority of us agree that if this was actually working, she would be far better than Elisha. That's just how we old players can pretty much predict whether a hero is good or not. But our assumption is that it's not working, similar to how Susano's one wasn't working. And nowadays it's actually same around clear. So Elisha is just pretty much enough if you don't have money to spend on Izanami, and I wouldn't really suggest that. But as I was saying, you can't use Elisha and Izanami together because Izanami disables the entire passive of the Soul Beacon from Elisha, so she doesn't just disable the freeze effect as it says these two can't be stacked. So it entirely disables this passive right here, and you won't be gaining attack and HP increases from Elisha if you deploy her with Izanami. That's been tested and that's been proven. So you can't really use them, and this is the part where it says can't stack with freeze. The effect does not stack with Elisha's Soul Beacon passive, so it entirely disables her passive, so you can't use Izanami and Elisha together in a team, which makes it super weird to completely just pair her in a team. For example, I have no idea where to run her. I currently test her in this team right here. So the point of this team is to have Behemoth for the speed increase and taunt and CC where she dies. The same goes for the mirror, so it can resurrect Behemoth once she dies to to apply yet another stun. So we have Sheng and Hades and Wuzetian for the steals, and then Izanami for the CC application. And yeah, unfortunately I can't fit her anywhere. I have tried her with a lot of teams, especially the ethereal mixes and dooms, phantoms, and any kind of team you can think of I have tried, and she just hasn't been performing at all. So yeah, if she worded, no. Is she any good anywhere? Not really. And even in the current Abyss Crusade, her perfect star level is like 7 stars. Once you upgrade her higher, she just simply does less damage than for some reason other higher stars Izanamis. So she's completely irrelevant, she's completely iffy, and I wouldn't suggest anyone to summon her unless she gets fixed. As I said for the Susano review, so I said she's pretty mid and not worth it, but they ever since then they have fixed her old force and it's actually working. So this part right here, the first part that I'm assuming for Izanami also isn't working, was not working. But once the patch happened, they also fixed her the pixelated part right here, so it's no longer pixelated. But the main fix was her old force is actually working and she's now actually really strong. I'm using her in my main dooms and she's performing really good. I haven't seen my dooms lose in a quite while, so I'm not sure if it's the same going to follow the I'm not sure if it's the same going to follow with Susano, but as I have seen, as you can see, it kind of can win. As you can see, it beat the Mystiverse, but that was purely due to Hades, not really tied to the Izanami herself. But yeah, I have seen my Dooms beating a lot of strong teams nowadays. As you can see right here, it's beaten the Valiantars, which is quite normal. But as you can see, Susano is dealing some massive damages, which she wasn't dealing before. But now she's actually very viable and really strong, especially at 9 to 10 stars. So if you're summoning, I would suggest Susano now, but Asmodeus is still the primary suggestion for me. I think Asmodeus is just the best hero of the season, followed by Susano, and then only Izanami, because unfortunately she is not as reliable, and I have a suspicion that her old force isn't working the same as I had for Susano, and then it was fixed, and now she's amazing. So I suspect the same will follow with the Izanami, and she will be fixed and then perfectly viable for the PvP and especially PvE, because this damage boost and crit damage boost is absolutely insane and far better than what Elisha provides, yet somehow it's still in the same tier as Elisha, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. So yeah, that's the review for the Izanami. As I said, I have tried her in various setups and she simply is not working right now. So yeah, thank you for watching and see you guys in the next one.